So, what makes the perfect teacher? It's a seemingly simple question, right? But it brilliantly sets up the core thematic premise of our story. We follow a young man who has spent his entire life on this frustrating, relentless search for a flawless mentor. He's looking for an ideal that might not even exist in the way he imagines, and that creates a massively powerful hook for us to follow his journey.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the quest for perfection, and his lifelong search for an ideal. You see, our protagonist hasn't just been passively looking. This has been a lifelong, exhausting search. As a young boy in school, he admired teachers, but, always eventually found their flaws. Moving into college and university, he kept up this relentless search for perfection, but the disappointment, it just continued. Now, all of that pressure culminates today. It's his very first day as a university lecturer. Stepping into this brand new role, he makes a solemn vow to himself. He is going to become the ideal teacher that he himself could never find.
Moving on to setting the cinematic mood and crafting the visual aesthetic.
Now, to really understand how this story lands, we absolutely have to look at the artistic direction. The pitch calls for this gorgeous Makoto Shinkai-inspired aesthetic in full 4K quality. We're talking realistic cinematic lighting, really soft color grading, and a shallow depth of field to keep us hyper-focused on the characters. Because this film captures such a complex, internal, emotional journey, it relies heavily on ultra-detailed, highly expressive characters. It's all about conveying deep meaning through natural facial expressions rather than just leaning on endless dialogue.
And this aesthetic builds the emotional atmosphere even further, with some very specific cinematic elements. The background music features an emotional piano, paired with soft, swelling orchestral strings. Visually, the camera work uses really smooth movements, cinematic close-ups, and slow motion. The pitch even specifically calls for motifs like soft sunlight and rainy memories. These are techniques designed intentionally to evoke nostalgia, hope, and those heartwarming family values. And it's all seamlessly stitched together with beautiful transitions and absolutely no watermarks to break that cinematic spell.
All right, the catalyst, on the bus, where a simple morning commute changes everything.
So, it's the morning of his big first day, and our young lecturer boards a nearly empty commute bus heading toward the university. Picture the scene unfolding right in front of him on this quiet ride. There's a curious boy wearing a school uniform, sitting right beside his patient father. The child is just full of wonder, continuously asking questions about absolutely everything he sees outside the window. And the father? He doesn't get annoyed or brush him off. No, he patiently answers every single question, with a warm smile, actually taking the time to gently teach his son about the world.
Watching this beautiful dynamic between the father and son triggers a really profound reaction in our protagonist. It sparks these incredibly cinematic flashbacks of his own father. The pitch beautifully details these deeply meaningful acts of parental dedication. Things like teaching him the alphabet, helping him study late before big exams, offering encouragement after painful failures, handing him small gifts after good results to celebrate his wins, and taking him on quiet evening walks. These beautifully mundane moments are elevated to powerful cinematic memories.
Which brings us to his emotional epiphany, brought on by a sudden stop.
His nostalgic daydream is abruptly interrupted by the sharp, physical jolt of the bus braking. This sudden stop literally snaps him back to the present moment, and it triggers a massive, profound realization. On one side, we have the imagined ideal teacher, the flawless mentor he spent his entire life seeking in schools, colleges, and universities. But on the other side, the real teacher, his father, a man who possessed literally every single quality he had imagined all along. He's just flooded with feelings of guilt and this profound gratitude for spending years searching everywhere else when his greatest teacher had been beside him all along.
That leads to the ultimate lesson, and a phone call home. After getting off the bus, he heads toward the university gates to finally start his new career. But before he walks in, he takes a necessary moment to make a deeply emotional call home to his dad. Immediately, his father asks if he arrived safely. Then, he asks if he's eaten. Finally, he asks how he feels on his big first day. Notice how these simple, caring questions instantly reinforce the exact qualities of the attentive mentor he'd been searching the world for. His father is still teaching, still caring, still mentoring him right in this very moment.
And here's the climactic line of dialogue. The young lecturer, struggling to hold back tears of gratitude and realization, simply replies, "I'm fine, Dad. Don't worry. I'll come home during the next vacation." It's such a quiet, emotional release. And with that deeply grounding connection made, the final scene shows him walking through the university gates. But now, he's walking with absolute, unwavering confidence. As the story concludes, the screen fades to this final quote. And it's important to note, the pitch explicitly states this is the only text overlay to be used in the entire film. The greatest teacher in our lives is often the one we never thought to appreciate, our parents. This message perfectly crystallizes the inspiring family-oriented themes of the story, really wrapping up the emotional, nostalgic mood of the film into one unforgettable takeaway.
Which leaves us with a final thought to end on today. Who is the hidden teacher you've been forgetting to thank? This pitch beautifully uses cinematic animation to remind us of the mentors hiding in plain sight. Take a moment today to reflect on your own hidden teachers. Thank you so much for joining me as we explored the incredible